You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, GH fans. Hey, I want to talk about the Scab writers that are writing our ABC soap opera right now, because I think there are some things that they have really been getting right. And I want to talk about what I think they're doing right and why I think they're doing it better than the writers who are out on strike right now. So I noticed an article this week about, they called her a General Hospital writer. Not exactly accurate, but it struck a funny chord with me because I don't see what this person is seeing when I am watching the current GH episodes and storylines being crafted by the writers that cross the picket lines. They are technically known as scabs. I think it's just a nasty sounding word. You think like scab over a sore, even though that is technically what they are called. But I am sticking with replacement writers, because if not for these replacement writers, GH wouldn't even be on the air right now. The only soap that would be putting out new episodes right now, if it wasn't for people crossing the picket line, would be Days of Our Lives, because they have 6 months of episodes shot already and a lot more scripts written. So they had a big buffer. So GH wouldn't be on right now if we didn't have these writers, and it is a risk for them to cross the picket lines. It could cost them future opportunities, but for now, the soap is in their hands, and I'm going to tell you what this ex-GH writer said and why I strongly disagree, and I'm interested to see if you guys agree with me or this ex-GH writer. But hey, if you haven't already, please reach down and click subscribe so you don't miss any of our GH updates. So weirdly, this story about a 60-year-old U.S. soap opera popped up on the UK's Daily Mail site, listed as an exclusive. The Daily Mail is labeled a middle market tabloid. Tabloid is the correct word. And on Wikipedia, they list it as having been, quote, criticized for its unreliability, its printing of sensationalist and inaccurate scare stories. And it is actually banned from being cited as a source on Wikipedia, which is pretty rare to get that ban. Some people who have sued the Daily Mail and won include Elton John and J.K. Rowling, the lady who wrote the Harry Potter books, among many others. And there's a whole pile of others that sued as well. So that's just to give you some context on where this story is coming from. In this case, though, they're not citing a nameless insider like they do a lot, where they don't actually cite a source. That's kind of typical for outlandish stories on tabloids. But the woman they quote, her name is Anna Cascio, and she has not worked as a writer on GH since 2021. But she did work there for 8 years, from 2013 to 2021. So the newspaper says that this 67-year-old woman retired from the ABC soap last year. That'd be 2022. But that doesn't align with her IMDb credits at all. And neither does the Daily Mail, claiming she worked there for a decade, when it's clear that they're off by a couple of years because she worked there for 8 years, according to her credits. So this woman says she is concerned that the replacement writers are going to cause a drop in ratings that will be detrimental to GH. Her theory on who's writing the show right now is this. She says, from what I know, some of the scabs are people who work on the show in a different capacity, say as a director or a producer, but it's all kind of shrouded in mystery. And then she said, so once our work has been produced, to keep the show afloat, they have to bring in other writers. I don't know how they do it because it's a lot of work. So they're flying blind and making it up as they go along. My comment right here, I just want to pause with her comments, is that all writers make up things as they go along. That's what writing fiction is it not? And a soap opera is fiction. You do make it up as you go along. That's literally how the process of writing works. So that to me was like, okay, Jan, whatever. So then she went on about her concern that the replacement writers could turn off fans, ratings could drop, and the soap opera could go off the air like a bunch did after the 2007 through 2008 100-day writer's strike. So That's what she said, and here's my thoughts. I am enjoying a lot of what the replacement writers are doing. It is god awful how long the main core writers always left us waiting on closure, how they abandoned storylines that they built up, forgot entire character arcs and plots, and how they often weaken some of our favorite characters in favor of new flavor of the month hires that they have brought into the show over long-lasting legacy characters. In that spirit, I want to address 5 things that I am very excited to see the replacement writers doing that the core writers left hanging for far too long. And I personally hope they keep up the pace of tying off these loose ends and giving us some long-awaited satisfaction on these storylines. The first thing I think they've done right, waking up Nikolas. We saw Ava conk Nikolas Cassadine in the head way back in February 2023, months before the writers' strike started. We thought he was dead, then we finally found out he was in a coma, and then we didn't see him again, and he was just the subject of some blackmail against Ava. Now, these new writers moved this from a Pautuck coma to a front burner storyline. Again, Nikolas Cassadine is out of his coma, no amnesia, and trying to avoid the reckoning he has to face when he goes back to Port Charles. Remember, Austin just tried to talk Nick out of staying hidden and said, you need to go, you need to come clean to Ava. Let's hope this keeps moving on at this good clip and that Ava finds out that her cheating husband is alive very soon. The second thing is that they're making movement towards bringing back Lulu Spencer. Granted, Laura's other comatose kid is not back on the scene, but Lulu's getting name dropped a whole lot lately. And we had those scenes with her daughter, Charlotte Cassadine, visiting her recently. Plus, they just dusted off the set of her old house where she lived before the bomb at the Floating Rib put her in a coma. I have really high hopes that they might keep this going and actually bring Lulu Spencer back to us. I'm just not sure if the writers writing it can get the powers that be to rehire Emma Rylan or Julie Berman. Maybe, especially if, as this chick was hinting, that it was directors or producers who are actually doing the writing. They do have control to cast people, and that would make sense, because that would explain why we just got another Walt Willey crossover, why Blair Kramer is coming, lots of stuff. They brought back Adam Huss as Nikolas. I know a lot of you guys are not enamored of him in the role, but Nikolas is at least back. So we'll see. I'm just glad to see Lulu mentioned more. I think it's a very good sign. The third thing is they revealed the Pautuck mob boss at last. For over a year, Mason and Austin blathered on about the threat from this mystery mob boss that was definitely a woman. Well, either the new writers decided that the old writers were planning something mediocre, or maybe the actress that they wanted to play the lady mob boss wasn't available. Either way, the replacement writers flipped it from she to he and are using an existing villain as the Pautuck mob boss, Cyrus Renaud. You could tell this was not part of the original storyline the core writers wrote because not a woman, and they have been so clear for a year that it was a woman. Second, because this is another storyline getting fast-tracked. I love it. I honestly do not care who's running those hillbilly Pautuck mobsters. I just want the storyline to move forward and give us some closure. The fourth thing that I'm excited about is them fast-tracking Nina and Sonny's wedding and the SEC reveal. This is another one that's been going on for so long. We are soon going to see the wedding timeline of Nina and Sonny speed up a lot. After his arraignment, maybe he gets bail. We'll see. Even if he doesn't, that doesn't mean he and Nina can't get married. In fact, they may discuss that them getting married means federal prosecutors can't ask her any questions about him or his business. In the past, he and Carly got married a couple of times to avoid her testifying against him. You might remember that. No doubt, Nina doesn't know much, but she may know more than she thinks she does, and that's another reason for them to get married fast. We expect Nina's SEC deal to come out at the wedding. I'm ready for my invitation to the Reeves Corinthos bash. Even if it's a jailhouse affair versus the Metrocourt Lounge, I'm just glad they're speeding it up and this SEC thing's coming out soon. The last thing that I want to talk about that I'm enjoying is Dr. Montague's villain arc. Montague was already on the scene when the core writer's scripts ran out in late July, but this villainous arc that he's on, the dialogue that has been coming out of him and Gladys has been evil and pitch perfect. I hate him and Gladys both. So that tells you two things, that it's written well and the actors are doing a good job playing the role for us to have this visceral reaction that we just want to kill them both and save poor Sasha. So these are the 5 plots that spring to mind that I want to talk about just in detail about how I'm glad they're moving it forward. But I have some other things that I think the new writers are doing right. And I definitely want to hear your comments on what you think about the new writers that have been in control of the scripts and dialogue since July 24th. That means everything for the past 6 weeks or so has been their words, their work. I think that they're doing it up right. I do. In addition to commenting, please click a like if you have enjoyed this conversation, and please click subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much. All right. So real quick, a few more things I'm liking that I'm seeing from these new writers. They're moving Sprina forward very soon. False spoilers say they make love. It says they take things to the next level. That's got to be sex, right? And Carly's intent on getting Drew out, and it looks like she's going to succeed. That's going to end that storyline. Great. Move it along. Move it along. Sasha's going to be saved soon. This whole plot was a cover story for Sophia Matson's maternity leave. That should be well done by now. We're also getting Cody's paternity revealed to Max soon, and a lot of things that I enjoy I'm seeing, including a lot of really clever dialogue. Someone commented the other day, and I agree, that the scene of Cyrus preaching over his prison flock that was overlaid with the scenes of Sonny being arrested and the raid evoked The Godfather. Remember that baptism scene at the same time that there were these hits being taken out by the Corleones? I really enjoyed those scenes. I am enjoying GH a lot right now. I really hope you are too. Let me know in the comments what you think of the job the replacement writers are doing. Thanks for listening. This has been Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.